one of the things that I hear when I talk to people who are streetwise vendors, or I've worked with the CARA, you guys know CARA, the CARA program, right? I've worked with the CARA program is say, homeless people don't like to use shelters because their stuff gets stolen, right? So, I thought, what if we could put a small safe under every cot, under every bed in a homeless shelter, so that whatever you didn't want stolen could get locked up every night. And they have safes, right, where you put in your own code, whatever your 4-digit code is, and when you put it in again, it unlocks, but it doesn't pre-lock, so somebody else can put in a different code, right? So, okay. So, let's say that I had this idea. I just want to sort of talk us through this. One way to evaluate ideas is to think about 3 things. The first and most important thing, although they are all very important, is who's going to use this? Okay? Okay? Who's going to use this, and why are they going to want it? Desirability. So why do we want stuff? Why do we use stuff? Why do we want stuff? Give me some criteria. So it solves some kind of problem for us. Good.
Makes life easier.
So it makes life easier. So that would be solving a problem for us. Yep. It does something specific for us. Like it either solves a problem or it makes us happy, right? So there's a problem or an opportunity. Do we buy stuff we can't afford? Okay. So there's a price that is affordable for the value, right? So we got to make sure that we can do this thing for a price that the people that we want to use it can afford, right? Do we use stuff when it's super complicated and hard?
No.
Yes. It's better to be easy than hard, right? So it fits into what we're already doing, fits into the way we live, right? So when entrepreneurs create things that force people to really change how they operate, they don't work. So lots and lots of teams that have proposed this whole idea about eating what's in your fridge, right? I gotta say, a lot of people are obsessed with this whole business of knowing what's in your fridge, right? So they want to put a scanner on the refrigerator, okay? So that every time you bring home your groceries, you scan the UPC code, right? You know what the UPC code is? That little bar thing gives information about the product, right? So you scan that. Of course, if it's vegetables, you got to type it in, right? Right? Or you can take a picture of your grocery receipt, and they would convert it into information. And then what they could do is, if you would change your behavior so that you always recorded everything you bought, they can tell you if your milk was about to expire.
Oh.
This is what I'm saying, Amber. This is what I am saying to you. If it doesn't make logical sense, if it isn't easy, we're not going to do it, right? All right, so let's think about my safe idea, okay? Does it solve a problem or create an opportunity for people using homeless shelters? Right? So protecting your stuff, especially like your valuable stuff, like your money and stuff, okay? How much could we charge homeless people to use a safe? Could we charge them like $25 a night?
You could charge them $5.
That would still be a problem. I mean, because ultimately you're using the shelter to have people access one place to stay and live because of the fact that they don't have like an income. So
right, but do they make enough money that they could pay $25 a night?
I don't think that that's ideal, honestly. I mean, I work with an organization that works with the shelters, and I think my main objective and focus for LGBTQ youth is the advocacy aspect of it, and to like help them and benefit them. I think that would create more of a problem because that would like make them to like feel entitled to be able to like pay just to have their stuff saved or whatever. And then you also have to take into consideration the people who don't have the money to pay to have their stuff saved. Does that like make them exempt from like having that opportunity?
What if we could have a sliding scale where if you had a quarter, you'd pay, and if you didn't, you wouldn't. Something like that. All right, but wait a minute, people. Right, if we are creating value, right, we want to price it at the level that the value is worth for our customers, right? So maybe it's not the homeless people who have to pay for the safe, maybe it's the shelter who has to pay for the safe, okay? But let me tell you something, okay? People value what they pay for.
Yeah.
How are they going to treat the safe? Are they going to take care of it? Are they going to treat it with respect? If they have to pay to use it, they're going to value it differently. Okay? So one of the things that we have to think about when we serve a community that can't afford expensive stuff is, do we always give them free stuff? Or do we make them have to do some work for value? That's a question that we have to ask. Because working to get value is also empowering for people.
Yes, it is.
All right, so we think maybe we could come up with a price that would be worth the value, and if there were circumstances where if somebody walks in and they've got stuff that's valuable enough to protect, they can pay a quarter to protect it.
Yes, they can.
All right, so I'm not discounting what you're saying, but I'm thinking about my business model differently. Yes, sir.
And that also goes as like the value of for like anything like that here. Like, now, if you go downtown, you're going to pay $9.
Right.
If you go over to like, whether like the suburbs or whatever, you're going to pay 15.
Right.
So it's where sometimes people only pay like $5. Like my friend said, hey, $5, I'll cut your hair.
Yeah.
So it's the value.
Right.
If you want like a nice cream cut, all that stuff, you're going to pay more money.
What you guys are going to do, right, over lunch, when you assess your ideas, you're going to ask yourself about these criteria, about your ideas. So I'm just kind of working through this with an example idea, but you're absolutely right. I pay an awful lot of money to get my hair cut. I do. That doesn't look like it. Oh man, I get a lot of compliments on my haircut. You kidding me? But I gotta wear this hair every day, and I want to feel good about it. Right?
You're gonna pay more for the value.
Right. Okay. Would it be easy enough for these people to learn how to use this? You got to remember four numbers. You got to put your 4 numbers in at the beginning, and then you got to put your 4 numbers in the morning when you want to get your stuff out. Is it easy to implement? Okay. So far, I think we're doing okay on this idea. Okay. So now what we're going to turn to, in the world of business that I work with, we call it the technical criteria. Don't get scared. Don't get scared on me. Don't get scared on me now. This is simply, can we do it? Do you know the word feasibility? Feasibility means we can do it. Right? So there are a lot of things that go into feasibility when you're talking about really difficult businesses like a refrigerator scanner. My favorite stupid idea, right? You got to put the parts together. You got to write the software for it. You got to figure out how to get it. There's a lot of technical stuff, right? But not every business has technical feasibility, but every business has, can you do it? Right? So, one thing about the safe idea is, does the technology exist? Or am I going to have to create it wholesale? Yeah?
One of the best episodes to watch about this is Shark Tank. Shark Tank is the most awesome show. You will learn a lot about, how to pitch ideas and all kinds of stuff. There was I don't know, I thought it was a stupid invention, but this dude made a lollipop that actually puts out the smell of bacon in the morning. Now, I don't know what kind of person in their right mind wants to smell of the bacon on the right side of their bed. But
but it worked, right?
It did, but he did nothing for it. He wanted like
all right.
$1,000.
All right. So I agree we're gonna keep moving on with our idea evaluation. Yep. So we're gonna get there. I promise you, we're gonna get there. So first we're gonna talk about the user. Then we're gonna talk about can we do it. This is the can we do it. This is the do they want it, right? Right? And this is the can we do it. And we, sorry, I can't spell and write at the same time. Okay? Alright? So who will want it? And why will they want it? Can we do it? So one is, does the technology exist or do we have to invent it? Okay? Two is, do we have the right skills? Do we have the skills that will allow us to go acquire these safes, install them in the homeless shelters, teach the homeless shelter people how to teach the homeless people how to use them. Okay? So, they're not every business do we have the right skills for. Let's say that we are setting up a tutoring business. And let's say that Jeremiah is really good at math, but he's not so good at English. Right? So if he's going to want to do a tutoring business that does math and English, he's going to have to get Brooklyn here, is it right? Brooklyn here, who's good at English, not so good at math, and team up. Because they need both skills on the team. Right? Make sense? Right? So if you don't have the right skills to do the business, it's going to be a real hard business for you. Right? Do we have the money? How much money do we need to start this business? So if we wanted to put, 200 safes in 20 homeless shelters or 10 homeless shelters around Chicago, we'd have to have enough money to buy all those safes up front, right? Exactly. Because we're going to earn back that money a quarter at a time, a quarter each night. So we got to figure out, well, can I afford to buy all these things, put them in, right? And wait for the payback to come in. Right? Think about the vending machine business. You buy the machine, right? You go, you restock it, and you take the money out of it. But you got to get enough money out of it to pay for the machine. Exactly. Or you spend a lot of money on a machine that didn't make it yet. Right? So the good news about a vending machine is I put the candy bars in there, and they cost me 50 cents, and I charge $1.50 for them. So that dollar extra helps me pay off that machine. Right? Make sense? Okay. So, can I get the money to do this? I'll tell you a very funny story. So, there was this guy named Fred Smith. And Fred Smith was in business school. And Fred Smith wrote this paper for his entrepreneurship class on a company that would do overnight delivery of letters and packages. He was going to call it FedEx. Well, he was going to call it Federal Express. Okay? And his teacher gave him a D on that paper. And he said, Fred, you cannot start a business where the government funds your competition so they don't have to make money. Right? Because the U.S. Postal Service, they get the money from the government and, they've already got all the systems and infrastructure out there, right? And Fred, you don't want to start a business that it's going to cost you so much money for planes and trucks in every city before you can even deliver one package. You know what Fred Smith said? I have the money. Fred Smith was a very wealthy man from a very wealthy family. And he bet his whole share of his family fortune on FedEx. He leased those planes, he leased those trucks, he put them out there and he started FedEx. Now, who do you think is the richest member of his family? Yeah, damn right? If FedEx doesn't work, if it fails, he's lost his whole stake. So, Fred Smith can start Federal Express. I can't start Federal Express. Right? I can't start a business that requires that much money. Right? I can't afford to build a manufacturing plant, but I can afford to buy a vending machine and keep it stocked. So I got to think about what's affordable. Sam had to be able to afford her raw materials, her canvases, her paints, right, before she could make money. She talked about that. You gotta have a little stake. She saved up from her time in advertising. You gotta have a little stake that's gonna help you get started. One of the most unfair things about capitalism is you gotta have money to make money. Am I right? Yeah. Right?
Yeah.
Okay? You gotta have money to make money. You gotta have a little bit of money to make a little bit more. Then you have a little bit more to make a little bit more, right? And then if you're Fred Smith, you've got a boatload to make, like, ridiculous amounts of money. All right, so this is kind of, can we do it, right? So I'm going to say on our safe business, technology exists. We don't have to do a whole lot of research there. We can buy it. We got the skills, and you know what? I got some people who care about the homeless. They're going to help me out. We got the money. Okay. Now there's one more thing. Right? Move that circle over. I just made a mess of that. It's the business criteria. Right? Right? This is how, right? There's some how, can we do it, right? This is how. And this is, can we make money? Is this business viable? Is this business going to be self-sustaining? Can this business make enough money that we can pay ourselves some salaries, that we can continue to buy more safes and put them into, you know, more homeless shelters, right? Okay, so question is, right, can we have a price that is greater than our cost? Okay? If I make this pen for $2, but I can only charge $1, what's going to happen? I'm going to lose a lot of money, right? But if I can make this pen for $1 and charge $2 for it, right? Okay, so we were talking about an affordable price for our user. The price has to at least equal the value. Hopefully the value is even a little bit higher than the price, so they feel like they're getting a good deal, right? Like when you feel like you got more than you paid for it, you feel good, right? So you want the price to be a little bit lower than the value. In fact, let's change that equal to a less than sign. Okay? You guys remember your math? So the price has to be less than the value but greater than the cost. That's going to be critical to whether or not we have a business. Okay? And then there's like, how many people need it? So the size of the problem. If only a couple people need this solution, right, then it's going to cost us a lot of money to make a solution that we can only sell to a couple of people. But if there are a lot of people with this problem, we can do this over and over and over again and make ourselves a business, right? Okay? What's the competition? Are other people doing this? Are we going to be fighting against other people to try to get our product out there or our service out there? Well, it shouldn't be, okay? So the way you deal with competition is you find a group of people who are not well served by the competition. You find, so listen, when somebody offered a new product or a new service, that was it. Everybody was going to buy from that company, right? Then we wouldn't have a lot of choice, would we? So let's take blue jeans, right? Okay, so Levi's invented blue jeans, right? They're all the same product. Blue cotton denim, orange stitching, 5 pockets, zipper, right? Okay. So when Levi's invented blue jeans, nobody else ever had to make blue jeans, right? We all buy Levi's, right? You're all wearing Levi's, right? No, because people aren't all the same. Right? People are different, and they do different things with their clothing. So if a farmer goes to Target and buys a $20 pair of Wranglers, what is he trying to accomplish?
I don't know.
Why do you think he's buying why do you think he's buying Wranglers? You think he's just spending money, a farmer buying Wranglers? Durable, comfortable, affordable clothing. Just basic cover your ass. Right? Right? Right. But, you know, if, on Milwaukee, spends a couple $100 on a pair of diesel. You know what I'm saying? What's he trying to accomplish? Get somebody to look at his ass, right? It's a different problem. It's a different opportunity. And that's what makes choice. What kind of car does a newly graduated high school student who just got a pizza delivery job drive? A used car, right? A used car, or a low end like a Kia or a Hyundai, right? Right? Well, like a not terribly expensive, but solid, affordable, reliable kind of car, so that he can do his delivery job, right? But when he owns the pizza shop, because he's worked so hard, what kind of car is he going to be driving? He's going to upgrade that car. Now here's the problem. This young man upgrades that car to a sports car. Okay? Yeah. Then he gets married. And he has kids. Now what kind of car is he driving? I mean, they're all cars, but they solve slightly different problems for slightly different people. So what we got to think about is, who are we really solving this for? And one way we can deal with competition is by finding people who are not well served by the competition. I mean, when Redbox came out, you guys know what Redbox is, right? When Redbox came out, there were Blockbusters everywhere. So why do people want Redbox instead of Blockbuster? Yeah, it was cheaper, and they didn't have to drive far, and they didn't have to deal with people behind the counter. You put your credit card in, for $1, you get it, right? They found a new way to deliver DVDs. Okay, then what happened when Netflix comes along? Right? Now Redbox still works because it's cheap, but Blockbuster doesn't work at all because I can subscribe and get them through the mail. Right? So when you introduce a new business, even though there's competition, you need to be different than the other competition.